Welcome everybody to another episode of the Beyond Haunted Vermont, because we're definitely going to be going beyond in this one, but that's okay. We have a lovely lady here who has fantastic stories from, oh god, like 1990 to probably early 2000s and so on. But anyway, let's bring her on because she can talk about it more because it's her work anyway. But is Elisabeth Busch. Elisabeth, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Hello.
So, Elizabeth, before we get going on this, talk to us about yourself. Like, what kind of got you involved in this, the spooky, weird world of the unknown?
So, this has been like the paranormal or supernatural or whatever you want to call it. It's just been something I've been interested in since I was a small little kid. My mom was a librarian, and I used to hang out at the library every day. And there was a section in the library where she worked that was all just ghost books and stuff, and Bigfoot, stuff like that. And so I read all of those books and got kind of obsessed with the subject. And I just maintained an interest in it. I would say my interest now as a old person is not as intense anymore, but I have maintained an interest in it, and I like folklore, like urban legends and stuff too. So these ghost lights sort of tie into that. They're very urban legendy, the way that the stories go. So
Yeah, yeah, and we'll get into that. Is it safe to say then, because of you growing up and stuff, it feels like you kind of learn enough now, or maybe have I don't know if I should say seen enough or heard enough that you kind of have gotten to the conclusion where it's like, well, there's definitely something going on out there, but now I want to seek something that's more mysterious, I guess, and into the beyond, I guess. I can give you an example. Like when I got into this field, um, I didn't really was looking for it. It kind of just found me per se, just because of the weird experiences that I had
mhm.
when I was little, and that of course kind of brought up my interest, and then of course we got the ghost hunter shows and stuff like that, which
Right.
then it made me kind of go like, oh well, maybe we should try debunking, and that's what I started to do when I was little with my friends and stuff. And I mean, to this day, we jokingly say like, I wish we could just travel back in time and ask our parents to get a video camera for some of the stuff that has happened. But the point to this, I guess, is like, now that I've gotten older and I have had like my own investigations into the unknown and stuff like that, I feel
Mhm.
like I definitely feel comfortable enough to say like, yes, there is something in the in the afterlife. Like there's something for sure going on here. Whereas now it's like, my peak interest is starting to be like Bigfoot, Dogman, all these weird
Right.
cryptids, and now like even with these mysterious lights that can tie into these weird cryptids and fairy realms and everything else that are basically just gigantic rabbit holes. That's
Yeah.
where I want to be now, because it's just like, that's where my peak of interest has now become.
Yeah. So strangely enough, I have never actually seen anything weird. Well, not too weird. That couldn't be explained. Um, I've been to hundreds of haunted sites and weird places and stuff like that, but I've never actually seen anything. um, nothing weird enough that I would say it was definitely paranormal or whatever. But I still have an interest in it just from a folklore point of view and history. You learn a lot of history, right? Going to haunted sites. Um, so it's just
Definitely.
interesting to me. I'd say I've gotten more skeptical as I've gotten older and seen nothing. So kind of the opposite of you, I guess. But when I was little, like the idea of, some kind of afterlife or at least weird things really fascinated me. Um, that's not so interesting to me anymore, but now I'm more into the folklore and history side of it, which is
Right.
why I actually wrote that Ghostlight book, because it was something more harder, like real, that I could grab onto and actually write about. It's hard to write about ghosts when you don't necessarily believe that they're dead people or whatever. Um, but the ghost lights and other things like that are pretty interesting to me still.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And for those wondering, the book is called "The True Ghost Stories Archive."
Mhm.
Spooklights, true tales of anomalous light that we're going to be talking about for those wondering, probably. So,
Uh, it
I
has
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Go
It
ahead.
has multiple names, but I renamed
Uh,
it at some point, and so now it has 2 different names, which was stupid on my part, but I didn't know how to rename a book correctly, so now the listing, I think, says on Amazon says one thing, and the title on the cover says another, which isn't so great, but you're not actually supposed to do that, but I didn't know that at the time. That was some years ago. Um,
right.
yeah,
Well, we
but
all got to start somewhere.
the book just has so I wrote a summary and history of each of the ghost lights in the book, and then I put in there all of the stories that had been sent to me about the lights over the years, like eyewitness accounts and stuff like that. um so it's a pretty decent information source if you're researching them. I really did a lot of research when I wrote the book and really tracked down, these sources and stuff, all these newspaper articles, like, and old pamphlets and stuff like that. So I did quite a lot of research at the time. So everything that's in there is correct.
Right. For at least like that time frame. Yeah. Or when it would go on per se, we'll probably get
Right.
into. Um, yeah. So I guess I know when we were talking even before this, like you just stated, like you haven't really had anything spark out. But I mean, have you ever thought about, like, I don't know, maybe one particular day, maybe you're seeing way too many daddy long legs showing up in your
Oh my
in
god.
your area or something? I mean, that could be a sign or something. um,
Well,
uh,
too many
um,
daddy long legs.
maybe maybe like one of your friends who might have passed away, like, I don't know if you ever looked into, like, maybe what their spirit animal was, and then all of a sudden you're starting to see so many different type of, or just like particular animal. Like, I can give an example of this. What I mean is, so like back in May of 2023, I lost
Mhm.
my friend at my age at the time. He passed away in May of 2023. And when I looked up what his spirit animal would have been, because his birthday is in July, he would have been known as like a rabbit, basically. So when it came to his birth month, uh, I started to just see so many rabbits just like trying to
Yeah.
cross the road, just, out of the corner of my eye where I work. So I kind of was just like, I see you, Glenn. Like, I'm okay. Go make sure go check on your family or whatever. And then as soon as I said that, it was like my sightings of these rabbits kind of like died down. It was almost like he got the message. Like I understand that he was around watching over her, and then he acknowledged that I recognized it, and now he's watching over his family, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't had anything death related like that. Um, the more bizarre things that have happened to me are more like physical phenomenon. Like one time there was, like, I don't know if it was ball lightning or what it was, but in my room when I was a teenager, I saw it's so weird, um, like, this lightning sort of, like, sparks, like a sparkler, almost like a 4th of July sparkler, when, like, it traveled all the way around my window frame in my room, but just one time and then stopped. It was really weird. I don't know what it was.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it's been like things like that. One time I went hiking when I was this was when I was an older teenager, probably like 17. And we had this small what I now know is a small hill across the street from our house, but it was, it had a decent number of hiking trails and stuff on it. And I hiked to the bottom of the hill, which was totally normal, but I hiked in this place like I'd never seen before. And I'm like, where the hell am I? And then I managed to find my way back, but I never found that place again. Like, I went and looked for it, and I could never find the trail again. So that was pretty weird. So most of the weird things that have happened have been things like that. Like, not really ghost related or anything like that, but just weird physical things.
Yeah, that is weird, especially now. I don't know what's going on with this universe, but there's been a couple podcasts I listen to when I'm working, and like these two have had people come on now and say like, "Yeah, I remember stepping into this house and like filming inside of it or whatever they were doing, taking pictures inside this house, and then like."
Mm-hmm.
24 hours later, it's almost like the house either vanished or like the house was never there. So that last one you just shared kind of reminded me of that. Where
Yeah, it was similar to that vanishing place phenomenon. Yeah. I used to get stories like that. Those were always the ones that fascinated me the most when I used to get all of these stories sent into my old website, because the ghost ones, maybe you saw something, maybe you didn't. There's no way to really prove that, right? You have no physical evidence or anything. But the more physical phenomenon really fascinated me. Like, there was one, of course you don't know if these are true or not, right? Even though they're supposed to be true. The people who send them to you are saying they're true. But there was one really cool story somebody sent in that they were sleeping in this giant bed in this room, like a guest room of their friend's house. And when they woke up in the morning, the bed had been like turned completely around in the room. Like, the bed was just backwards. And they were all facing like the wrong way in the bed. So you'd have to it was like this huge bed in this tiny room. So obviously if people are on it, you'd have to completely disassemble the bed and put it back together again to turn it around. I just thought that was interesting. Those kinds of stories interested me, I guess, maybe more than even the ghost stories, even though that's originally how I started, was just publishing these ghost stories and stuff on my website.
so that almost sounds similar to the incident me and my friends had at his farmhouse. It was like a poltergeist activity thing that was going on. We it was my friend Justin and I and his friend Ethan, and we were there for like a sleepover for his birthday party or something.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went to bed that night in his bed, he was Justin was at the window. And just to clarify for people that may already have known this story, but this is just for Elizabeth's sake here, is so the bed is totally up against the wall. Elizabeth's like facing the window, basically, like
Okay.
you would be sleeping on the side, if that makes sense.
Right.
So there's no way Justin would be able to get up unless he walked over us or he had to like army crawl down the bed from his
Right.
way,
Right.
basically. All right. So now that that's out of the way, so he's at the window our friend Ethan, who was smaller than us, was in the middle, and I took the edge of the bed facing the floor. When we woke up the next morning, I was at the window. Justin, who was at the window, was not just out of the bed, but he was tucked underneath the bed, like on the floor. And our friend Ethan was where I was.
That's so weird. Yeah.
So yeah, so
Yeah,
I
those kinds
totally
of things are really interesting to me. Like, that's much more interesting to me than, I think I saw a ghost person, like, because I can easily talk myself into, like, reasons why your brain was tricking you with seeing,
right, right. Like we
like,
could be half
ghost people
awake,
or
half
whatever.
asleep. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I had so many stories of sleep paralysis that got sent into my website that were very obviously it was just sleep paralysis. You're just having a bad dream, basically. Um, and these people, it's a convincing phenomenon, right? You think you're all the way awake, which you're not really. So you think you're seeing ghosts and witches and stuff like that, but in fact, no, that's just like a completely natural phenomenon. I actually have held back a lot of those stories from the volumes that I published on Amazon because I was planning to put them into like one book to try to find patterns in them and stuff. Um, which I haven't done yet, but maybe someday. But I have a bunch of those stories, a lot of them. So,
right,
you start after you read, I mean, I read thousands of ghost stories that people sent to me. After a while, you start to recognize like what could be like an interesting phenomenon and what is just like an ordinary thing that people are misinterpreting as paranormal, you know.
right.
After you
Yeah.
read thousands of them, you see patterns.
Oh yeah. If you don't start seeing patterns, then I think that's what makes it more weirder. Like if it's because maybe somebody was pulling your leg, but if more people are almost saying the same thing, then is it a coincidence or not, kind of thing. So,
Right.
and at that time frame when you were getting these stories, I mean, I would say internet back at that time frame, beside websites, would be like message boards and some sort
Yeah.
of um, newsletters or something, but it's not
Uh-huh.
like what it was today, for
No,
sure.
it was completely different, obviously. That like you had to actually put forth some effort to communicate with another person. You had to
Yeah,
email them or fill out their web form or whatever you were doing. So the
times has changed.
literacy was certainly better. Like some of the stories I got obviously were kind of illiterate, but most of them, I would say maybe like 70% of them were at least readable and made sense. Um, you always had like teenagers that thought they were clever that were sending you complete nonsense, but quite a lot of them were decent and usable at that time. Just because it was harder to even be on the internet at that time, it wasn't couldn't just turn on your computer, right, and automatically be wherever you wanted. It was just harder
Right.
to do. There was kind of a barrier, especially until about maybe around the year 2000 when people started getting high-speed internet and the browsers became way more sophisticated where you didn't need really an ISP anymore. You just needed um, you just needed a, like, high-speed connection and a browser.
Yeah.
So it became much easier to access the internet, and that's when the quality of the stories I received started really kind of declining sharply, and I started getting a lot of entries from bored teenagers, Ouija board stories, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, totally. So I guess I I'm trying to figure out where we can begin. I know in your introduction you were talking about that you visited one of the areas and
Yeah,
where you actually uh, could actually tell why the Spooklights at the time,
yeah,
where people were, thinking they were anyway, but they ended up just
right,
being car lights. We can, I guess, talk
right.
about that one. That was, you said, in Canada.
Yeah, that was near Toronto. It's a place called Scugog Island, although it's not really. I don't know that it's really an island. We just drove right onto it. So, um, but it was called that particular site was called the Ghost Road. I know, not very creative, but that's what it's called. And it was one of the more well-known ghost lights that I used to get articles about. That people visited pretty often. And so in 2017, after I had met my husband, my current husband, we went to his friends had a house in kind of way outside of Toronto in a sort of rural place, and that Scugog Island place was very close to there. So we drove out there and found the site, the ghost light site. But at that point, the vegetation and the trees and the other stuff that made the area look sort of mysterious, I guess, had been cut back. And so tragic. Really clearly, there was another road that ran like exactly parallel to where we were standing. You could see it through the trees that had been cut way back. And so obviously, it's pretty obvious that the previous ghost light sightings were just like headlights refracting through the trees and stuff. The sightings did fall off after they cleared that road. So
Right.
unfortunately, that one was really just headlights. Some of the ones that I've read about seem like they have more potential to be something that's not headlights, but a lot of them that I wrote about in this book, um, like the sightings have just completely fallen off since the areas became more developed.
Right.
So yeah, I think a lot of them are probably headlights or even, maybe even the train lights, although because so many of them were located near railroads, either old railroads or ones where the tracks had been moved or whatever. But I would think you would notice like a train because they're loud. I used to live right next to a train, so um but cars you won't necessarily hear them from that far away. But you can see them, the lights.
Right. Yeah, they're super bright when they're
Yeah.
coming down too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say some of the stories that I received describe the lights very close to the people.
Oh, you mean like around the town? Or do you mean like
Uh,
the
I
people
mean,
that were.
in general, the
Yeah,
ghost
yeah,
light
yeah.
stories, a lot of them involved driving your car to a site, right, and then waiting for the lights to show up on the road or the train tracks or whatever. Um,
Oh,
some
gotcha.
of the
Yep.
stories, the light approaches the people, and comes very close to them. So I don't know if you could really blame car headlights for that, but for the far away ones, like the ones that I went to visit, like certainly you could see that it was just the lights through the trees from the other road. It was very obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's sad about some of the too is like when we think something might be like a real phenomenon for what people have described for the
Yeah.
it can actually be something else if you don't look at it. Like in this case with this Ontario one, maybe if the people realize there was another road right behind it, oh, maybe that's what we're seeing is the other car lights. Because like with Dale, he when he was talking to me when he went to I don't think it was the brown light. Oh God, I can't remember what light it was right at the top of my head right now. Oh
It's
man.
alright.
But anyway, he was talking about the experiment where he was using a car and he would have the car, you know,
Mhm.
do the high beams like 3 seconds off, 3 seconds off kind of thing. And that's how he was able to debunk it. Otherwise, he was basically creating. Well, in a way, it's like car headlights are creating these weird
Yeah.
uh, illusions that make it look like there is light up there, but it's actually how did he put it? Like reflecting, almost like you take a mirror and it's reflecting
Right.
onto the mountain. So it's it is interesting to hear that like a car light could like illuminate like that, like almost bounce off something or like a some sort of mountain. But then when you actually look into it, especially with the way Dale was describing it to me, that makes sense.
Right, yeah, it's, our brains want to see they want things to be touchable or real, right? So, if you see these weird lights and you get freaked out or whatever, you're not really gonna question your instincts that you're freaked out, right? And it would be pretty easy, I think, if you didn't know about the phenomenon, like, to just get freaked out and leave. Like, I would fucking run if I saw shit like that. But I mean, I think a lot of paranormal stuff in general, like a lot of the stories come from the fact that we think we see something really weird and unexplainable. And instead of sort of sticking around to investigate it, because why would you? You're scared and freaked out. You just leave. Like, because your instincts are telling you to leave from the weird thing, which makes sense. That's how why, we're alive as a species. But yeah, a lot of times there's an explanation. There's I remember here's a story for you. When I was younger, when I was married to my first husband, we were driving down the road. It was at night, and I was probably I was very young at this time. Maybe I was like 21. And we were in the car driving and and I thought I saw like this ghost lady like just standing there by the side of the road sort of hovering and floating, and I was getting like super freaked out because we were driving closer and closer to this ghost lady, right? But then as we got closer, because there was nowhere to go but straight, I realized it was just like a street sign. It was like a street sign that the light was because of the light and the trees and stuff, the light was just shining off it in a really weird fashion and like turning so my mind was turning something normal into like ghost lady. But if we had turned or if we had like onto another street or if we had stopped and just gone a different direction or whatever, I would have totally believed I saw a ghost lady. But I had no choice. I was trapped in the car my husband was driving. So, yeah, as we came across up to the sign, I saw it was just a street sign. But I was really freaked out. It really, like, freaked me out. And if I was driving the car, I probably would have turned around and just hightailed it the other direction.
Well, I think what you're describing is a perfect example of sometimes why having somebody who's skeptical about this whole thing with you, if your fear or
Right.
intuitions are that believable. Like everything you want to see, you want to believe it as it's something supernatural. Whereas this guy that, or who maybe you're like a friend of a friend or whoever with you, can kind
Right.
of bring you back to earth and be like, well, it could just be this, and then you kind of look at them like, I don't want it to be, but yeah, you're right. Like in this case, it's the street
Uh,
sign.
yeah,
I
you always
mean,
want it to be something, right? But,
oh
I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know. But that was just an incident that happened to me that
yeah,
that was scary.
that's it.
I was scared. I was young.
Oh
I had just
no,
moved I had just moved out there, so I didn't even know the streets or anything yet either. That was probably
oh
part
geez,
of it.
I
Um,
mean, oh man, that reminds me of a friend, old friend of mine who where they just like moved into my neck of the woods, and we were like driving one night into like these backwoods and stuff. And afterwards, was just like, "Dude, I thought, what do we thought you were bringing me out to these backwoods to like murder me or something?" I'm like, "No," I'm like, "No." I was trying to show you like it's not just this big city because you're used
right.
to like the woods and stuff. I'm trying to show you these backwoods, like if you feel like you want to
Like
feel like home again, these are the backwoods to
a
go.
it's like cabin in the woods situation.
Yeah, pretty much. Or hitchhiker situation or something.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah,
uh,
I love those, urban legends too, those hitchhiker lady urban legends and stuff like that. And the ones where there's a dude in the back of the car, like, trying to kill the lady, trying to, like, stab the lady, so people are flashing their headlights, and she's getting freaked out by the person flashing their headlights, but really he's just stopping the killer from murdering her. So,
right.
yeah, I love those stories.
Yeah, or what the one where like the car coming from the opposite side noticed somebody in your back seat, so now they're following you.
Right, exactly.
Meanwhile
Yeah.
you're thinking like, oh my god, this crazy guy's coming to get me, flashing
Yeah,
his lights and
exactly.
everything.
Yeah. I like those
Yeah,
urban legends, like, for a while, I was really into tracing urban legends and, like, all the different variations and stuff, which is kind of related to the ghost lights because a lot of them are urban legendy. I just
oh
like that
yeah,
stuff. I like the folklore part of it. It's interesting to me how this stuff gets spread. I guess now stuff gets spread way easier, right? Because of the internet. Um, but back
yeah,
in the day when the internet wasn't so prevalent, not everybody was on the internet. It was much more of a word of mouth phenomenon, these stories, and people would send me all different versions and stuff, and it was really interesting.
right. And not just that, but like back then we didn't have to worry about AI and stuff like that, and
Right.
now it's like
Obviously.
everything we
Yeah.
see where you get
Right.
all these pictures. Is it real now or is it fake?
No, you can't really. AI looks pretty darn good now. You if it's good AI, you
Yeah,
won't be able to tell. Um,
yeah, yeah. Like I can like there's an example I can give like for the whole AI aspect for this. So a few days ago, there's now this post going around the internet, or quote photos, I should say,
uh-huh.
and they claim to be from my state in Vermont from 2009 from some sort of hiker camcorder or something, but
Okay.
it gets it gets it gets far more worse than this, where there's nobody knows who the original uh, witnesses to this. Nobody can find them. Nobody even knows where the video really came from, or even where these images just came from, because they just
What is
quote appeared.
what is the
Uh,
video show? What is the
th-
video for?
so, well, that's the thing. There's no video, so, but
Oh,
but
what?
these screenshots from this quote video show this bi- bipedal black quote walker creature that's here
Oh,
and smuggler's not. and if you look at it, it almost would fit, I think, what you would call a dog man per se. But
Oh,
when I
okay.
tried to do some like Google lensing and searching, I could find one video, and it's not even like from like the actual thing. It's like
Right,
more like AI. Because
right.
if you look at these screenshots and look at this video I found, the screenshots show almost like it is walking on like a bipedal would. And then you find this
Mhm.
video where it has all four legs, and the front legs are like basically it makes it look like it's on all fours, and it's just like, okay, so I'm just gonna dub this as fake, and
Yeah,
somebody just try to say that these are real.
yeah, yeah. I used to get a lot of pictures. Of course, they were from film cameras, right? Because not everybody had not everybody had a well, at first, nobody had cell phones that could take pictures when I first had the website. So
Yeah, you're
most of the
talking film.
pictures were from film cameras, and there were some digital ones, but that was kind of rare back then until maybe like the 2000s. I looked at so many pictures. People used to send them to me, like wanting me to tell them what it was. So many orb pictures and stuff. So I've seen quite a few weird pictures. Never anything super convincing, but I used to like getting the pictures because it was something just I could put on the website and show people back when it took forever to even download a picture. Look at this. You like went to a page with a lot of pictures on it. It would take so long to load. You're like, crap, why would you put this on your homepage?
Right. Oh man. The God, I miss the old days sometimes. But yeah, digital cameras, I think they're a blessing and a curse at the same time. But
Right.
um so basically I remember getting my first digital camera and stuff like that. I don't remember what year though, but it had definitely had to have been after like high school, because I took like a digital art class, and they
Mhm.
kind
Oh,
of
in high
tacked out.
school.
Yeah, in
Oh,
high
you're
school.
younger than me. Yeah, if you took a digital art class in high school, you're younger than me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm 38, so
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're just a young pup. Yeah, I grew
yeah,
up in the
I'm just
'80s, so we didn't have anything except for a Walkman. I guess I had a Walkman,
a
but
Walkman. Oh my god, yeah, I
like
remember those.
the tape kind, the kind that you put cassette tapes in.
Oh no.
It wasn't even a Sony Walkman because, we were poor, my family was poor, so I had this off-brand Emerson Walkman. Very
Hey, I
sad,
wish
very
it did its
tragic.
job.
Yeah, it worked, it was fine, like, but I was a kid, I mean, so of course I wanted, like, a real one.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You wanted to fit in with the crowd, like like a lot of people would like to. Oh,
Right?
my friend has bought this fancy new coat. Well, I guess we need to buy you a fancier coat. So,
Right.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I do remember getting like my first digital camera and going out and trying to see what I could quote capture, and I remember
Mhm.
getting these uh weird dots and stuff. But then,
Yeah.
as you get into this phenomenon and stuff, like more now as you grow up per se, from when I was little, I should say, is you start to really think about like, well, what could these orbs or anything that you really capture that may look weird, what are they? Well, they could be a spider web. They could be a spider coming onto your web, and well, you must have captured this bug that like just flying in the air, but at that exact moment you got it, and like all these other things, and then it kind of just takes that fun away from it. But then there's one where you 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 snap them, and it literally looks like there's a person
Right?
formed there, and then it's like, well, what do I do? Do I share it or do I not share it? So yeah, it's
Well,
it's all
you know,
weird. But I get the point to this. What I'm trying to say for this particular topic with these mysterious lights is, I remember one time we were at a cemetery, me and my buddy,
Uh-huh.
and he took a few pictures and I took a few pictures. And one of the pictures he got looked like it was like lights, like these little balls of lights or something, like exploded in this image, like they were just all over. And when he took the next picture, like seconds after that one, there was like nothing in it. So it's just like, well, was that some sort of camera defect, or was that something legit? Like what was it? You know, like what happened at that moment, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I always thought the photos were interesting that I got. Most of them were easy to sort of debunk, but I still liked getting them and looking at them. Also, people mistakenly believed I was some sort of photography expert. I don't know why, which I really was not, but it was, I did learn a lot about film camera artifacts and stuff at that time because
Mm-hmm.
of just looking at these pictures and trying to figure out what they could be. It was a different time.
Oh,
I
for
first
sure.
put I first put the stories up as actually an FTP site. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a
SCP site, yeah.
FTP is like it's just a file transfer protocol, and you could like download stuff from like download files, actual files from a site, not a website because those didn't exist yet, but from the FTP site. So that's the stories originally started out as an FTP site where I had put them all in a folder so people could download them and read them. I was archiving them there, and then when the web came out, like when web technology was available, I moved it to be a website in around 1994. Um, so yeah, old website. That's actually the oldest website, although right now it's currently down because I'm not going to get into it. Anyway, it's down at the moment, but I'll get to it eventually and move it to my current web
Yeah, I
host.
mean that sounds like a fun little active, nice little thing to reincarnate, I guess. Like bring them back in
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. That other site, the other web host that I use is really um not the greatest. It's
Oh.
just a little small business, I think, and they frequently just don't update your shit and then your website goes down. So there's no like automatic updating. Like they don't automatically update the versions of WordPress and the various software and stuff that you use behind the scenes. So like, I just have to move it. I just haven't done it yet. I've been busy doing other stuff. So
Hey, that's always a good thing, though. Um, so from your stories that you can recall, Elizabeth,
mhm.
that like, do you remember having anybody, I don't know, ever talk about like, they were trying to approach them or they
Yes.
disappeared, like, or I don't know, people
Yes.
talk about getting close up to them and then maybe something
Yep.
happens or whatever. What's another one that I hear?
Oh,
Sometimes, oh, I was gonna just say real quick before I forget, is like sometimes they talk about even like the temperature changing.
uh-huh. Um, Temperature changes, I'd say not as not as much. I didn't get as that many stories about that, but a lot of stories I got talked about like trying to approach the lights and the lights bouncing away from them or the lights coming right up to them, like in their cars, like bouncing off the hoods of their cars and stuff like that. Um, I would say those were is as far as close encounters, those were the most frequent where the lights would like come right up to their cars or hover right in the road right in front of them. And then when they tried to like approach the lights, typically they would go away. They would leave. They'd, like,
Right.
skedaddle, so you couldn't actually ever touch them or anything. I mean, I did have some stories of people of the cars, like, the lights coming in to the cars, which or going through the cars, like, passing through the cars,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, I had a few like that. Of course, you don't know. Unfortunately, there's no way to prove that these stories that were sent to me were even truthful, right? Like, people
Right.
could be making them up, but, like, I did get stories like that. That was a frequent variation or whatever where the lights would come right up to the cars.
That's interesting. I mean, I think
Yeah.
we do hear about that in some cases, maybe with like UFO sightings. Maybe that could just
Right.
be right before the abduction happens, I guess. I don't know.
Right, it's also you also kind of see that stuff in UFO stories, but these were for the ghost light sites. So I think, it's just it's just a variation of the urban legend or whatever. I'm looking
Yeah,
at this story right now where this person's saying they turned on their headlights and the lights showed up, then they flashed their headlights, the light disappeared again, and, then they got scared and went away. So, a lot of these stories sort of end anticlimactically and the people getting scared, like, because it seems like they're having an effect on the lights, and they sort of run
right.
away. But but yeah, it's interesting.
Back in that day, I mean, we probably. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to even word this. Like our minds have definitely, um, I do I want to say evolved since like that time frame, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, I mean, everybody looks at these things differently. So, I
Yeah.
mean, and I do agree sometimes, like sometimes that whole fight or flight method, you sometimes gotta, you gotta trust it. And because half the times,
Right.
like even with these instances, if these are in fact real ghost lights, or maybe not, maybe
Mhm.
they could be explained by a car headlight, somebody with a lantern or headlamp or something. But I mean, we don't, we don't legit, we can say like, we don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, I would personally would think if I saw one of these things and it was coming into my car, and I would maybe be want to focus on the environment also around me because is it getting brighter? Is it getting darker? Like what's going on? Because I think we
Right.
can also again kind of tie it to the abduction thing where we hear about these people were surrounded by this engulfing pure white light, and then that's all they can remember, and then next
Yeah.
thing you know, they lost like 3 to 4 hours of time. So,
Right, yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because it is somewhat similar to that, except in the ghost light stories, the people don't claim to be getting abducted, right? They just
mhm,
basically, the light just goes away and then they leave. Um,
right.
Either they run away or their light just goes out by itself. There's no, like, claims of missing time or anything like that in any of these stories for the most part. So it is similar though, you're right. It's a similar story about the light coming to the car. Um, Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I
That
mean, the only thing I can think of to that really more is like, well, if we go into the rabbit hole of these are UAPs from UFOs or aliens or abductees, whatever you want
Mhm.
to call them, right? If they're just circling around the car, coming in and out, maybe they're actually just observing you, and that's even more
Right.
scary because that's like, well, are these things trying to see if I'm like a perfect, a target for them for what they're looking for, or not? And then as they go away, maybe we're just not the perfect target.
Right. Yeah, well, it's it's interesting. Some of the lights seem pretty dumb, like they don't interact at all or whatever. And some of them seem more intelligent where they're showing up when you call them or whatever. Um, but all of well, not all of them, but most of the accounts of ghost lights, specifically spook lights, right?
Hmm.
That are in this book and that I focused on were there was some sort of legend attached to them, and usually it was a legend of somebody getting killed, like a train signalman or whoever getting killed, and then the lights that like holding a lantern. Now their ghost
Oh,
is walking along the road like holding a lantern, and that's why the light is like moving around all weird and stuff because it's essentially a ghost light um from a ghost. um
yeah.
Usually the
You're think.
person got
Yeah,
decapitated or whatever. Anyway, they're
yeah.
all very similar,
Yeah,
the
I was gonna say
story.
that you're almost like talking about I'm probably gonna butcher it, the Bingham's White from South Carolina. I
Mm-hmm.
think that involved
Yes.
the rail yard man.
Yep, it did, but most of them do. Like
Yeah, yeah. There's
I,
another one in Canada. I mentioned it with Dale. Now, of course, I didn't bring it up again to remember exactly where it is. But yeah, have you heard of that one? The one in Canada?
which one? There's a few
Uh,
different ones in Canada.
this
There's
this
a St. Louis light. There's
the water station one. I remember water station attached to
water
it on
station.
Water Station Bay, maybe or something from Canada.
No, no,
It was
I
about
don't know. Is that like a wow,
basically
I'm having a senior
he was
moment.
a he was a rail yard guy that was trying to get back, and he slipped on the wet tracks, and he ended up getting his head decapitated. So,
Yeah.
um,
I mean,
and
that
I think
could be the St. Louis light, which is in Saskatchewan. Where's the one that you're thinking of? Do you know?
I will have to pull it up again. But yeah, while I do that, yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. The St. Louis, is that kind of the similar one then?
They all have the same story, so it's hard to say, but that one does have the story about the guy losing his head. They all do, though. They're all
Yeah, why
similar.
is it always losing their heads?
Well, because that's exciting, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
either
true.
it's either somebody losing their head or somebody like getting lost in the woods and and like dying of exposure or whatever. And now they were holding a lantern while they were in the woods, so now that's what the ghost light is. All of
It
the
was
stories are very similar.
Vancouver,
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah, no, that must be a different one then. The St.
Yeah,
Louis light is in Saskatchewan. And the one that I saw was in the Toronto area. So that's a different area of the country.
yeah, it probably is. I think this one, Vancouver. I wonder if that's the one that's near British Columbia. Then,
Oh, yeah, that's where Vancouver is. So I would I have not heard of that one. Interesting. Um I imagine there's some that I haven't heard of, but they're all like that,
yeah,
very
there's
similar.
always something similar to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's on the record, but uh, kind of like here in Vermont. So we used to have an area that was pretty active back in the day for like
Mhm.
missing people and this and that. But one of the stories I do recall was like these hikers hiking up the mountain and seeing these mysterious lights coming toward them to the
Uh-huh.
point where I think once they realized that there was nobody like attached to these lights, like making these lights, there wasn't like a person holding a lantern or a headlamp. They kind of bolted it down the mountain per se, but as we mentioned, I believe you did at least, like when you were talking with your intro, was the environment changing. So our
Right.
environment there used to be known for like the tree logging business, and then it got turned into like a casino. But they used the rails for like a trolley and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But then after all that failed, after a year of trying, um, the railroad track or trolley track, whatever you want to call them, they pretty much took them out. The only thing that's still there is the visibility that you could tell like there once was like some sort of tracks there, and
Right.
there is evidence of the railroad like spikes still
Mhm.
around in the woods. So
Yeah.
I guess it makes me wonder: does that like just taking the track themselves out and just leaving the spikes is just enough to make that sort of phenomena disappear? But then you also hear these lights kind of showing up, even if there's like minerals around or caves or anything like
Right.
that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of theories that people have put forth over the years for these lights. One of them is the minerals, like the piezoelectric theories, um, where the minerals are like somehow causing this electrical phenomenon, right above the ground. There's also like swamp light gas being ignited, stuff like that. Um, it's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's
Different.
the is that the same again? I'm trying to remember now, but is that the same the swamp gas thing as like the rotting wood in the ground? Or I mean
Yes.
the water, I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because the things that are rotting, or it does produce heat. It produces gases. I mean, objectively, scientifically, rotting things produce gases and heat. Um, and like there's a lot of rotting plant material and stuff in swamps, right? That's kind of their whole thing. They're swampy. So in England, in Great Britain, there's sort of this will-o'-the-wisp phenomenon in swampy areas that's very ghostlight-esque. Um, but I did not concentrate on that in this particular book. I was more concentrating on the ones that I got stories, like discrete stories about that describe like the round, bouncy ghost lights along roads and in North America and in Canada. Yeah.
Mm, right. Yeah,
So
that makes sense. Um the only thing I'm just trying to figure out, like, from your book, because like I said, when I kind of mentioned a little bit like off the air, is I kind of was doing my best to skim some of the book.
mhm.
uh did has any of these stories, or maybe you have one that wasn't really just like in the book per se, because as you said, there is some that you're still trying to look at to see if there's some sort of meat somewhere for something else. Did anybody ever mention like the size of these, like any kind of different
Sure.
sizes?
Sure. If you look at the stories, the actual submissions from readers in the book, um there's a lot of description, like physical descriptions of the lights, of what color they are, what size, and stuff like that. Most of the time, the lights are not described as that big in size. Usually, I would say like maybe basketball size. Um, the lights or smaller. Sometimes they split up into smaller lights. It's very rare that you look at these stories and they describe some huge light. Like, if the light is coming into your car, it's pretty small to get to the windows or whatever. And if you can like get close enough to the light, that it can sort of dance away. It's obviously not some huge, gigantic light. So I would say probably between like softball size and basketball size, and maybe like beach ball size is about the average size of the lights. They're usually not too big as described by people who've seen them.
Now, off of, off of your memory, Elizabeth, I know it's been a while before you kind of like delving into this, but would you be able to clarify or recall like what would the common color that your story that people submitted had like mention? Like were they red, green? Like do you
Most,
remember?
yes, I know the answer to this. The lights typically are just white or yellow. But there are all kinds of colors that people report.
Mhm.
I'd say the most common colors, other than white and yellow, are blue and red, which makes sense because that's how your brain's going to interpret refracted light depending on the environment. And there's some accounts of other colors like orange, but I suppose you could just classify orange with the yellow, right? And sometimes people will mention that they sparkle sort of in rainbow light colors, but that's more like a white light phenomenon too. So the vast majority are just regular ass white light. But there are some other colors described. Pretty much any color you can think of, people have described, but the majority are white.
Mhm.
Not a super majority, but most of them, more than 50%, let's say, are white or yellow. Which,
Right,
they
that
are
makes sense.
lights, so that makes sense. Blue and red, I'd say, are the second most popular colors. Rarely you hear about them being other colors. And usually when it's other colors, it's like the lights are just like changing to all different kinds of rainbow colors or whatever. But that's kind of rare. If you think about it, the ones that are located near roads or within viewing distance of roads, right? It makes sense for the lights to be white, yellow, or red because that's what color car headlights are. So that part makes sense. I would say
Right.
the more interesting ones where they sparkle or come up close and they have different sort of rainbowy colors. Those are more interesting because
Mhm.
obviously if the light's right in your face and it's all sparkly and stuff, then probably not a car headlight. I don't know. I've never seen one myself, so
Right. Yeah, sparkly whites. That's a new
yeah.
one. Um, almost like I guess would you almost say these sparkly lights are almost like those what do they call them? Sparklers for the fireworks kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, that's what I get the impression from the descriptions, but, I mean, that's kind of rare that honestly, most of
For
them
sure.
just sounds like fuzzy white balls of light, um, just regular looking
Just
balls of
regular.
light. Yeah, you know,
Oh
the
yeah,
lights,
I totally get it.
it's like if you actually look at the descriptions, um just most of them are just white. People are, freaked out enough, I think, when they see them that they're not gonna remember some like, slight shade of color to the light anyway.
Yeah, it happens, I guess. I mean, sometimes we hear about the like in cemeteries, did anybody ever submit one about seeing
Uh-huh.
one in a cemetery?
Yeah, a couple of the sites that I wrote about and a couple of the sites that I've read about have cemeteries in very close proximity. Um and they do describe like going to see the lights in the cemetery. Um in those cases, I would say the cemetery is more of a an add-on feature. Like it's close, but not close enough that um it's the main attraction. Like the main attraction for these ones that I researched was being on the actual road and like calling the lights with your headlight or whatever. But there are a few that have cemeteries sort of in proximity. Most of
Hmm.
them don't. Most of the ones I wrote about don't, but a couple of them do. One of them has like a couple of them also have bridges, and the bridges in both cases have also stories attached to them about like people careening off the bridge into the creek or whatever and drowning. So they have their own sets of ghosts and ghost lights too on the bridges.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you-
And there's like one of them, or maybe two of them, maybe two different ones, are called Crybaby Bridge because you can hear the the poor deceased baby crying when you go onto the bridge. Those are pretty close to these ghost light sites because they're on roads, right? So there's bridges on some roads. So those are pretty interesting too. They have sort of attached side attractions like a little cemetery or the bridge, the Crybaby Bridge. Um, it's just
I didn't even
interesting.
think about that. We actually have like a crybaby bridge here in Stowe. So,
Yeah, there's several. There's several of them all in different parts of the country. It's
oh
not
yeah,
a it's not a unique thing. There's
no,
yeah. Yeah, that's not one of the ones I wrote about, but I know I can think of two I think that I wrote about that have the Crybaby Bridge attached. Um, I guess it's just a popular story.
that just
'Cause
tied right into it for
right,
sure.
right.
Um, Going back to the colored real quick, have you ever like when you were I don't know doing this like research before the book or maybe even afterward? Did you ever think about looking at like the color meanings and spirituality or anything like that? To maybe
No.
beside like just beside like the card? No, okay.
No, no, I would not ascribe any particular meaning to the colors. I think, you know, they're just people just interpret them as different colors because that's how light and your eyes work.
Hmm.
Yeah. The more colored ones, like I said, they're usually like red or yellow.
Right.
Um, sometimes blue, which it's very easy to interpret white light as blue, right? Under the right circumstances. But sometimes they're green or other colors. There's not
Hmm.
that many colors that light can be, I guess. You're pretty much dealing with the rainbow. Like you don't really hear about the lights being pink and stuff like that. It's usually like just the generic rainbow colors.
Yeah, your typical color of the rainbow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, I guess because I don't know how much longer you want to talk, Elizabeth, too. But is there any story that is in your book that you would say like what's your favorite to I don't know to research to find like the newspapers for to maybe help your fascination of what these could be? Like, was there any that really stuck out or a?
I would say the brown mountain lights stick out to me because those ones are a little different in nature than the other. than most of the other ghost lights I wrote about. The Scugog Island one is pretty interesting, just because there seems to be more historical lore attached to it, even though I don't think it's necessarily true, the lore, but it's more interesting. This lady wrote to me about the Scugog Island light, where she's doing genealogy research, and she found like a mention of weird lights on Scugog Island in the family Bibles or whatever she was looking at, whatever source material she was looking at. So that was pretty interesting. Just something different. There's also one called the Rich Mountain Light. It's in Arkansas, which was a little different because it was attached. It was hard to find information on, though, but it was attached to the ghost of a little girl, which was different than a lot of the stories, which are just the headless railroad worker dude.
Right.
And then there's one, I think it's in Ohio, the Oxford Light, I think. Well, and actually the Scugog Island Light is like this too, where the light is supposed to be like some dude on a motorcycle who got beheaded, of course. They're all beheaded, but that was a motorcycle instead of just the train. So I guess the ones that stick out to me are just the stories that are a little different, and the ones that are more visible in valleys and stuff. That's why the Brown Mountain Light was interesting to me, because you can I think you can still see those. Can you? The Brown Mountain Lights? Can you still see those?
That I checked, you could.
No, I don't know. Anyway, some of these are completely like defunct. Like like the Hansel Road Light in Pennsylvania, which was really reliable for a long time, and lots of people sent me stories about it. They did some development in the area and they completely disappeared. And then obviously the Scugog Island one that I went to see, that disappeared. The Marfa Lights in Texas are the most famous ones. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of the Marfa Lights. Those are
I probably have.
There's like a tourist center and stuff, or there was there. Those are in Texas. Those are very famous and have actually been on like Unsolved Mysteries and stuff.
Oh, then yeah. Then I must have.
Yeah, the thing with these lights is, because the legends of the lights are so similar, and just the description of the light sites in general, like on a road where a railroad track used to be, are so similar, that before the internet, before you could track down sources and stuff, they have similar claims. Like a lot of the lights, people would claim that they were on a TV show like Unsolved Mysteries or That's Incredible, which is like this 80s show, somewhat similar to Unsolved Mysteries. Is about like interesting stuff. Or they would say they appeared in Life magazine or Reader's Digest, which Reader's Digest often used to do like features on weird stuff and paranormal phenomena and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times, if you track down, if you try to track down the articles and stuff, they just don't exist. Because a couple of the lights did have articles on them, which I was able to track down, and I think that story of an article about the ghost light appearing in whatever magazine or TV show sort of got mixed up with other lights.
Yeah.
Like
maybe.
So these stories of the lights like being famous and appearing in publications and stuff were sort of misattributed from other lights. But the Marfa Lights were really famous at one time, and they did appear in like TV shows and magazines and stuff like that. And I think The Paulding Light also, it's in like Wisconsin or Minnesota or something. Oh, Michigan. I was wrong. It's Michigan. It's all the same to me. Oh no. See the Paulding Light, people thought that it appeared in magazines or on Unsolved Mysteries, but they were mixing it up with a different one because they did a story on a very similar ghost light in another state. I can't even remember why I started talking about this. What the hell was the question?
Well, no, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
No,
I do not remember what the original question was.
No, you're good. You're good. No, you were answering in a way that it was basically the question was basically like what were you interested in, which made you look up like the newspaper stuff to find them to try to help with it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the reason I tracked down all these articles and everything was because I wanted to verify them, because so many of them said they were in a certain publication, very specific too. Some of these legends, some of the urban legends, the stories mention very specific like books and articles and TV shows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look and they just don't exist. Like it never happened. So I was able to track down some of them, like the Grudon Light in Arkansas did have a article about it and a feature on Unsolved Mystery, and so did a couple of the other ones, but most of them really did not. So that's the reason I started tracking down in the first place, so I could include them as sources in the book.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. It definitely helped, and it helped, I guess you could say, keep the legends alive. And and I know some probably have been debunked of what they were, like car headlights and stuff like that, and maybe like as you put it with your Ontario one, which is like, well, they combed off the area, so now you can see visibly clear that there's a road on the other side. So I mean that's like you were saying too, like there's always some sort of logical explanation to what these things could be, but it's, I guess, what though, like with the Blue Mountain Lights, we can say for the example is, yes, some of it can very well be proven to be actual human foot traffic or cars, but then there's the ones like where this team went out, I think it was in 2023, and they captured like these floating blue lights that looked like they changed from blue to white, but they were stationary in the air. They weren't like just above the trees. They were like literally in the air. But what I like about it, about this particular video, which I actually sent it to you, is when they tried to do like an experiment to try to debunk some of it, they could debunk the ones that were in the tree, but they were really having that hard time trying to get the lights to stay stationary, like in the sky.
Right. Well, I would say not all of them are debunkable, if that's a word. Some of some of the stories that I received, there's such direct interaction with the ghost lights or the spook lights, whatever you want to call them. Such close, direct interaction that those ones are, obviously it's not just a car headlight from far away. I don't know what it is. I don't know if these people are even telling the truth. But if you take the stories at face value, not all of them can be car headlights. I will say that. Maybe there's some other explanation, but if the car light is literally like entering your car and going through your car and going out the back window, I don't. That doesn't sound like a car headlight to me. That's something else.
Yeah.
I had some stories like that. So that was a pretty common story. Um,
Hmm.
the stories, you could just categorize them. There's some where, which is most of them, where the lights are kind of far away, and they just sort of float around the forest or whatever. And then there's some where the light is on the road, but you can't really approach it, which could also easily just be light refraction or something. And then there's the more up close ones, which is like the ones where the bounces off your hood and through your car and stuff like that. Those are more interesting to me because they're just more fun. like like the
Yeah.
you know, it's more interesting if the light is like really close to you. If it's just far away thing, it's very easy to say it's just headlights or streetlights or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, it could very well be. I mean, we could. I mean, going back to like the cemetery bit for a second too. Um, we there's talk about like maybe some of these quote lights come from water underneath, not just by like the minerals, but
Oh, yeah, right.
like I remember a long time ago here in my area too when I started this haunted Vermont thing in 2012. That like I remember getting told like, oh, there's mysterious light that's in one of the graves that shows up behind the cemetery, but I, I always debunked it as because I drove by several times at night. But
Mhm.
when I realized it's like one of those portable, maybe solar light that you could get or whatever time light that come on at night, and that's what I thought they
Oh.
were. And
Oh.
so I debunked it basically because I was just like, oh, it's one of these lights that somebody manually put in just to kind of light up the grave at night, case closed. But then when you start getting to this is just weird. And what sucks is like I could never remember if the person actually said it stayed stationary or if it was moving around or anything like that. But when I
Mhm.
tried to go back to look for this person, of course, with the internet, they're gone. So it's like,
Right.
well, I don't know. I don't know what to take with it.
Yeah, I have at the end of the book, there's a list of sources that I used, but I don't know, best case scenario, the links were available 5 years ago, you could still get to them. I don't know about now. A lot of them, some of them I'm sure are not available anymore. 'Cause
Uh,
I'm looking at them now and, like, some of them are, like, sort of defunct places, Earthlink. Um, gosh, yeah. But I did look through microfiche and shit on, like, online microfiche things and stuff like that, and track down some pretty obscure sources.
yeah, I
So,
wonder if your sources could be found with the what the hell do they call it? The Wayback Machine.
yeah,
Your
some of them might be available on the Wayback Machine, the ones that are for sort of more, bigger sites, but the Wayback Machine isn't great on keeping the more ephemeral stuff that was on personal sites or whatever. The
right.
I like, my own website is on the Wayback Machine, ghost.org, and it's pretty good for that because my website had been public since time immemorial, right? 1994 or whatever. But sometimes, like, I might have even used the Wayback Machine to find a few of these articles. I'm looking at them. Some of them are pretty obscure. One of them was like a government publication for the Brown Mountain Lights. Like, I literally tracked down the PDF for this 1922 USGS report. And God knows where the government articles are. They've probably all been deleted by you know who. So I don't
It's hard to
know.
say for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many of these actually still exist, but as of 5 years ago, they were accessible because I accessed them. So if people want to look there, I mean, some of them are pretty interesting.
Oh, totally.
The sources themselves are interesting. Some of them. Yeah, I have a source here. I have sources from the 20s and the 30s, a couple of them. So they were available somewhere.
Oh yeah,
Apparently.
definitely.
Yeah. You can track down some of the sources if you want.
Yeah, I can take a look and see if some of them are still around and
Yeah.
check it out from there.
Yeah, I just put unfortunately, I
I
just
mean,
put
I know
URLs.
sometimes.
I wish
Hey,
that I had kept them like in files or whatever, but I don't think that I did.
yep.
If I was smart, I would have done that, but I'm not smart, so I did not.
Oh, we all have our hiccups at times.
Yeah, I don't know why I wouldn't keep them if I was using them as sources, but I just put the URLs in the end here.
Well,
The
most
end
people
notes.
do that anyway. They'll use the URLs. So, I mean, you technically did what most people do for sources.
Right. Right. It was
So,
kind of stupid though to not keep the actual files or whatever. I don't know.
lessons learned.
Well, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I would like to write sometime. Wow, this is really off topic, but sometime I'd like to write something about like sort of cryptozoology stuff that is now sort of defunct. Like the legends have sort of faded away. It would be interesting to do that too. Like this lost folklore is interesting to me. A lot of these ghost lights are becoming lost folklore where people don't
Yes.
even remember them anymore. All these lights that I got, some of these lights that I got lots of stories about, now you can't even find anything on the
Yeah, and
internet
that's
about them. It's very
yeah.
difficult to find any information about some of these lights, even though people at the time in the 90s and the 2000s, right, were sending me tons of stories about them. Now they're like, you can barely find anything. It's weird.
Yeah, it's almost like it's getting pushed back into the unknown, like of the
Right.
internet, which is,
Right.
I guess, the fun.
We're losing these stories. We're losing the old legends and stuff because you just can't find anything about them anymore. People forget about them once the word
Talking.
of mouth stops. Like
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. Anyway, at least we have these that I wrote down.
Well, so far from the copy that you have given me for the PDF thing, I'm actually looking at the URLs, and some of these are still up and running.
Oh, that's
So that's
good.
good to, yeah. Like the
Yeah.
St. Louis Ghost Train one, the Rowing Through the Night one for St. Louis Ghost Train. Yeah. So
Mhm.
there is some that are still up, thank God. But yeah, makes me wonder how many um don't. Yeah, I think
No.
the St. Oh yeah, look at that St. Louis Ghost one. I wonder if that is the same one then. Oh
Well,
yeah, that is.
the St. Louis ghost one is in Saskatchewan. Not Vancouver. It's in a different province. But I don't remember
I,
anything about any Vancouver lights. That doesn't mean they don't exist. I just didn't get stories about them. I concentrated on the ones I had reader submissions for, right?
mm-hmm.
Because it's supposed to be related to that True Ghost Stories archive books that I released. So I concentrated on the ones that I had actual, like, personal sent in to me eyewitness stories for.
Right.
I'm sure there are ghost lights that are not in here, like you
Oh,
have
yeah.
described a couple. And there's also lights in places like Australia, um, and England and stuff that people did send me stories about, but I didn't get enough stories
Mm,
that it gave me enough information to even look for sources and stuff. So I decided to just focus on the ones in North America since those were much easier to find information on.
right. You know, going off topic for just a second, it just makes me think. I wonder if there's anybody that um, has seen any strange lights around. What the hell do they call it? It's up way up north in Maine. They call it like the ghost train something, but it's like all those
Yeah.
abandoned trains.
Yeah, I have a vague recollection what you're talking about. I'm from New England. Um, I'm from Massachusetts. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I grew up, I don't know if you know where it is, but I grew up by the coast, on the border of Mass and New Hampshire.
Yep.
So, yeah. So I know some Maine stuff. It's just New England stuff in general. Um, but
Nice.
I moved to Southern California. I lived in Southern California in my 20s, and then I moved back to Massachusetts, Western Mass, close maybe to you. I don't know which part of Vermont you're in, but and then
Rowan.
oh, okay. And then I moved to Las Vegas about 11 years ago. So,
Oh, very nice.
yeah, now you know my whole life story. Um the so I've like recently well, if you want to call the last 11 years recently, that's what happens when you get old. Um, I've been sort of more focused on like visiting ghost towns and haunted places in Nevada and California and stuff. But
Oh, very nice.
yeah, so I have all these pictures. At some point, I thought I want to put on the website, which is currently unavailable. But at some point, I would like to offload all these pictures I have of ghost towns and haunted places around here onto the website, but I just never do it because I'm always have some other projects going.
Well, you do write uh, a different do I want to call it a series? I know you do that. So,
Well, I write the true. I released those true ghost stories archive books on Amazon. I released those like from 2019 to I want to say maybe 2022 or 2023. I released a bunch of those. I still have more stories that I could go through and maybe make a couple more of those, but that would be the limit. I could only probably eke out maybe 2 more books of those without like the stories becoming really lame because some of them are not that great. I also write like a sci-fi serial, and I've written a baby name book. Just random shit. I have a lot of random interests.
well, I'm trying to figure out a way of how to present my experiences in like a little small book form, just to have something,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Because I keep getting asked if I want to do events, and I'm like, I have nothing to sell. So
Yeah. Well, that would be cool.
unfortunately,
You could still go do events though. Just like
yeah. I mean, I could, but I mean, $75 is $75 for
right. Right, you
so.
want to make some of it back. The
Yeah, exactly.
well, if you decide to write your book, I'll help you format it or whatever. The
I
God knows.
appreciate that.
God knows I know how to format documents. That was my actual professional job for like 20 years. So,
Oh.
I
Well,
can format easily. I'll help you if you wanna do that. You should write
yeah.
them all down, though, before you forget details. Because I tell you what, there's a few stories of the various weird things that happened to me when I was younger that I wrote down for my website. Um, and fortunately, I have all of those stories from the old website saved, because I look at these stories now and I don't remember these details that I wrote when I was 22 or whatever. Like, I just don't remember them. I'm like, is that what happened? Okay, if you say so. So, like, so write them down. Write them down while you still remember anything about them. Because seriously, I wrote down these experiences and I do not remember. I would not remember the details now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh no.
you're 38. You better get writing, dude. Like,
I've actually been writing all my weird stuff down, and I've been trying to. I don't even know a good word for this, but basically, like after I'm done telling what happened, I basically then put on, I guess you could say, my detective glasses or
uh-huh.
whatever, and I'm basically trying to make logic sense out of it. Like, oh well, it could be this or whatever. But there's a few where I'm just like, I don't know how to. I wouldn't know where to begin to say this is logic.
Right.
Like
Right.
I started to share this weird story of mine, and then I guess for time and stuff, I don't want to keep you any longer with this, but I did have fun listening to you with your stories. But yeah, one of the younger memories I can recall of something weird happening, which is actually great to share this because I actually learned a little bit more recently from my mother, especially from the last time I appeared on a podcast to share this with the questions that Shannon LeGros asked me. But anyway, so the story basically goes, um, when I was little, in a kid's bedroom, you should remember your old bedroom. Even now, like, you should
Right.
know like your bedroom. Like,
Yeah.
you know the layout of it, you know where each door is, you know where the
Right.
windows is and all that. So anyway, this one particular night it was dark out and could not see even the hand in front of my face. And
Mhm.
I should um also mention that it was dark out, even like there was no light coming through my window, and my window is like on the side of the house where it's kind of like blocked by the neighbor's area, and
Uh-huh.
my street only had like two street lamps, so again visibility even wasn't that great for even lights. Anyway, I could not find my door. I could not find even the doorknob or anything like
Oh,
that. Like I
jeez.
was reaching, feeling around like what I thought was where the door would be, going up and down, feeling
Yeah.
left and right. Could not find the doorknob. I was at one point got to the was freaking out so bad that I was like basically calling for my parents, and God knows, only knows how long that went on for before my mother opened up the door
Right.
and was just like, "What the hell are you banging on the door for at this time frame and this and that?" And I'm like, "I couldn't find the damn door." And again, it's just like,
Oh my
what the
god.
hell happened right there? But
Yeah, that's so
my door
funny.
and my door to my bedroom was basically like right near my closet, so I know it wasn't my closet door because I found
You
the
found the
the
closet.
well, I found the closet because it was like if you're facing my uh front door, yeah, which you're facing like the front. I guess I'll just say the front door of my bedroom,
Mhm.
and let's just go by like you're staring at it inside of my old bedroom. So right where your right shoulder should be, that's where the closet door is, and then without moving, that should be like where the door is for the bedroom because that's how close they were. Even
Right.
with the
And you still couldn't find the door.
and I still couldn't find
That's
the
so
damn thing.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's a cool
So
story.
So I asked my mother about this recently. I was like, "Do you recall this?" And she vaguely remembers it, but she swore it was probably because of a power outage. And I was
Oh,
just like, "Huh, that's interesting."
yeah,
But
that's interesting. Well, we do remember some. Our memories are not as
not as
great
great
as
as they
we
were.
not as
Yeah.
great as we think they are either. Uh, everybody wants to think everything they remember was reality, but yeah, brains are tricky. They tell you things that are wrong. So, but that's a really cool story. Those are the kinds of stories that I liked when I was running the website actively. I really liked those kinds of stories. Like, it's more interesting to me than just I saw a ghost or whatever. Not that the ghost stories aren't interesting. Obviously, I liked those, or I wouldn't have started collecting them in the first place. But as people sent me different kinds of stories, I kind of got more interested in stuff like that. It
Well, that's like
became
me with this, like that's why I reached out to you, even though I know you don't technically investigate the
no, I
itself,
don't
but you're still looking for
investigate.
the stories. But what I
Yeah,
like about it is that when you share these stories that people have submitted to you, you can almost point out the similarities, some of them anyway,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
other yeah, and then other times when you look at them and they are getting debunked, well, now we know what to look for and to debunk them. Like that's basically
yeah.
like what unsolved mysteries we're trying to do anyway, in a way, in a
Yeah.
sense. Besides just solving
The
murders.
old Unsolved Mysteries was awesome. The
Yes.
original one. It was great. I know they rebooted it for Netflix or whatever it's on, but it was not good. I don't like the new one. Like the format of the old one was much better because they just had like 4 or 5 little things about each thing. Like they had the 4 or 5 little segments about each thing. That was much better. Because if you're not interested in one of the things that they're talking about, you can wait 5 minutes, there'll be something interesting. I loved that show when I was a kid.
Then you must have loved like listening to like whatever season it was when they did the one on Lake Champlain for Champ and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of those shows from the 80s that were like about weird stuff and paranormal stuff. There were several of those shows, and it was just
Yeah.
fun to watch them. It
Oh, definitely.
fueled my obsession.
Of course, and that it gave you something to look forward to. Like, oh, I can't wait for the next person to
Right,
submit this crazy story that happened or whatever,
right.
just to share with you.
Oh,
So
yeah, the stories that I got over the years were some of them were really interesting and and cool. I mean, some of them, like, even now, once in a while, I get, like, an email or a message or whatever from someone who remembers this old story that was on the website, like, 30 freaking years
that's
ago.
awesome.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, I loved your website. I remember this story," and they'll, like, talk about some certain story that they really like. The so it's interesting. The
That's a good compliment right there. That you did good
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, unfortunately, now we're all old, so
Oh,
the
stop.
well, I don't get so many of those once in a while. Once in a while, I get,
I
you
think it's
know,
because it's getting too
messages that
popular,
I get.
in my own opinion. I think it's just because it's too popular now.
What's too
I
popular, the internet?
Yeah,
Or
well, creepypastas definitely don't help.
oh, yeah, that's a whole different thing. Right? I guess,
Or
like, these people who grew up with, like, the creepy pastas and stuff are sort of looking at the whole paranormal scene from through a completely different lens.
oh yeah.
There's
And what's the
because
newer one now? Like SCPs, I think. SCPs, yeah.
what is SCP? I don't even know.
Just look up SCPs. It's easier that way.
Great.
They're basically like creepy pastas, but like they're more uh I don't even know good. Like if you want to, like SAP kind of go by like a specific monster now. So like SAP,
Oh,
like let's just say 246 would mean you've encountered this specific entity and what to look
okay.
out for and this and
What is it? What does it stand for?
oh man. Um
It's okay if you don't know. I just wondered. If you don't know.
standard humanoid containment.
Oh, what?
Yeah, standard humanoid
I
containment
can't
cell.
even imagine what the hell that is. Okay. Yeah, that
Yeah,
illuminated me. Not anything whatsoever. Yeah.
yeah. Why I said to just look it up.
Yeah, I guess I just better look it up. That's weird. That's funny.
Yeah, like I think the best place to start would be like they call it the SCP Foundation. Just go
Oh,
there
Jesus
and
Christ.
that will answer everybody's questions for those that may not know what SCP is. Oh man.
No. Have you
But
it's like is that like UFO stuff or
it's like it's basically like creepy pasta stuff. Like
Uh-oh.
it's basically internet made type things. And now SCPs are getting so popular that they're turning into like games and stuff. It's almost
Oh.
like similar to what do they call the new one now? Back rooms,
Oh,
where it's
okay.
like backroom horror and this and
Right, right.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I know that. I never heard of the
the SCP one.
APs or whatever. I never heard of that. That's interesting. I'm too like there's too much stuff now.
There
It
really is.
you can't know everything anymore.
Nope.
When the internet first started, there was sort of a limited number of websites and stuff, and that's how mine got so popular, just because it was the first one. So just like by
Mm-hmm.
default, it got popular. Um, but like now, it's like throwing, you know, it's like throwing a drop of water into like the ocean, trying to get people to see your stuff.
Yeah, that. How did my friend put it? It's like a vast ocean that you're trying to swim and not drown with everything else around you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's basically what it is. It's
yeah.
very, 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 very different from when like the web
When we were
first
younger,
started. Yeah, when we
I
were young.
I I mean, my first ever website built was from GeoCities when that
Oh,
was around,
jeez. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah,
and
those
then
GeoCity sites were were
yep.
pretty fun. Um, I
Oh my
remember,
god, I
like
made the most crappiest sites from GeoCities, but hey, you know what? They did it. They did it justice, I guess. And then I
they
started
all
to learn how to do HTML on my own,
Uh-huh.
like code it
Wow.
my own. So like I was one of those guys that pulled up like Notepad, which I don't even think computers even have anymore. They have Notepad, but yeah, I would pull out Notepad and just start coding HTML myself. I didn't need a program. It was so
Yeah.
bad.
Well, at first there were no programs. Like when I made my website, you had to know HTML. There was no other way to make a website. You had to write it
Yeah.
yourself. You had to code it yourself. But
Yep.
now I don't. I don't
Nope.
write my own HTML anymore. Why? Why should I? There's like all these visual editors and stuff that are much honestly better than anything I'd imagine myself anyway. So
I wish I had remembered some of the HTML though, and I know audience we're going off
I
a whole
remember
different
it.
pocket, but
Yeah.
I'm saying like in general, there's some stuff I remember, and then there's some stuff that I don't, but I wish
Yeah.
I did.
Oh, I mean, I
It's,
remember I could code a shitty website right now, but why it would be shitty? Like my
yeah.
knowledge is not advanced enough to code like super fancy, awesome, responsive,
Oh yeah.
W3 compliant, like really good looking websites. So why bother
Yeah, exactly. That's why we
when
got
I can just
WordPress and GoDaddy and all these
right
other sites.
exactly. Yeah, it's much easier now to make a website that looks good and doesn't blow your eyes out with animated
Oh
GIFs and
man,
stuff.
yeah.
Your visitor number 195327
Oh my
or
god, the moon phase counter and everything
yeah, the
else. Oh, yep,
counters
yep.
and the web rings. Oh,
Oh man.
that was a
Like I said,
different
the good old
time.
days are gone, and I just miss it.
No.
Sometimes I miss the easier days than what we are having
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah. It was interesting. Remember when
Yeah.
Blair Witch came out? I don't, you might not remember. You're younger than me, but
Blair Witch Project movie.
yeah, the Blair Witch Project movie. They were pretty much the first movie to use the internet as marketing. Like
Yep.
they marketed that shit like all over the internet. They actually sent me because, this was again in days of yore. They actually sent me like marketing materials.
Oh
And
wow,
yeah, and we're like, "Hey, can you put a banner on your website?" Like
that's
that link
awesome.
to our movie website. And like they sent me all this crap, which I don't have anymore. But it was like, I think there was like a t-shirt and like some bumper stickers or whatever. I don't remember what was in there. Anyway, so I put like a little banner on my website that was like, go see this new movie. It was such a long time ago. Yeah. It's interesting.
That's
And
awesome.
people legitimately thought that the Blair Witch was like a
Was
real
real.
thing. I
Yeah.
actually had to put up a page on my website that explained that it was like a fake movie and there was no actual like Blair Witch urban legend. Because so many people asked me.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah,
See, that's
people.
how you do a good marketing, right there.
Yeah, it was very good marketing because everybody freaking thought it was real. It was
Yep.
crazy. It was pretty crazy.
I actually still enjoy the Blair Witch Project to this day. It's one of my favorites, just because of how they pulled it off and their marketing. So.
Yeah, well, from a historical perspective, it's a really interesting movie.
Yeah.
And people are just used to that type of movie now, right? That found footage style of movie.
Oh yeah.
But at the time, it was quite revolutionary. So if you watch it now, you're like, so what? But like at the time, it was scary.
Oh yeah. At the time, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, Elizabeth. Well, I don't want to take any more time, but it was an
Okay.
honor to talk with you about your articles and the stories that were submitted to you, and your I guess opinions on the whites from
Yeah.
doing your research, and I guess we could say visiting and stuff like that.
Yeah, anytime. We can do another one sometime if you want about the actual ghost stories, which I have probably some good ones I could share or whatever.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I'd love to hear some of these other ghost stories that you have. It would be interesting to
Uh,
travel back in time to
yeah, I'm sure that I
when
have
things
some.
were actually creepy.
Right, when people used red words on pages instead of only watched YouTube videos.
Oh my god, yeah, that's fair. Where you
Alright.
actually had to force yourself to read versus putting in an earbud to
Right.
hear it. Yep.
Right.
No man.
Alright.
But
Alright.
before you go, Elizabeth, if you want to, is there anything you would like to plug for people to stay up to date
Uh,
with your work?
well, I suppose for this purposes of this podcast, you can go on Amazon and look up the True Ghost Stories archive, and you'll find me on there. There's the books; they still sell. I still sell a couple of them a week, maybe not very many, but a few. And you can find those volumes of True Ghost Stories have, as this title indicates, a bunch of true ghost stories that were sent into my old website. And you can also find the Ghostlights book on there. I do have a website, ghosts GHOSTS.org. Unfortunately, at the moment, it's down because I never went into the provider and updated the WordPress or whatever. I don't know exactly what's wrong with it. Maybe there's even a database error.
Oh no.
They were running like old versions of stuff, which would occasionally break. But yeah, but I'll get that website up soonish, probably at the beginning of 2026 or something. Maybe I'll work on it. Right now, have other projects going that I really need to get my ass moving on.
Well, we got too many holidays coming up too that you need to enjoy first.
Yeah, everybody's birthdays also in my family are in this time period too. It's just bad. It's a bad
no.
time of year to get anything done.
No.
Yeah, it's like busy. But yep, you can find me on Amazon for now. The ghost stuff, it's all on Amazon. You can look under my author name, which is Elisabeth Busch, or you can look under True Ghost Stories Archives. It's all on there, and it's pretty cheap. It's not expensive. It's also on KU Kindle Unlimited, which is that Amazon. If you're subscribed to that, you can read them for free, basically. So
that's awesome. That's nice.
Yep, that's my plug. I'm done.
All right. Well, I would again thank you for your time. It was nice to chat with you, and for everybody out that have made it. Well, give yourself a pat on the back. I hope you enjoyed Nonetheless, and for all the ways, keep your eyes open because you just never know what is going to appear in front of you. Have a good night, everybody.